Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. E.T. the Extraterrestrial is a 1982 science fiction film that was produced and directed by Steven Spielberg. The project was written by Melissa Matheson. It tells the story of a gentle alien that becomes stranded on Earth. The being is discovered and befriended by a young boy named Elliot, played by Henry Thomas. After bringing the extraterrestrial into his suburban California house, Elliot introduces E.T. to his brother and little sister, Gertie, played by Drew Barrymore. The children then decide to keep its existence a secret. Soon afterwards, however, E.T. falls ill, resulting in government intervention and a dire situation for both Elliot and the alien. The movie stars Dee Wallace, Henry Thomas, Peter Coyote, Robert McNaughton, and Drew Barrymore. The whole concept of the film was based on an imaginary friend that the director Spielberg created after his parents' divorce. In 1980, Spielberg met Matheson, the writer, and they developed this new story from an unrealized project called Night Skies. In less than 2 months, the writer Matheson wrote the first draft of the script and entitled it E.T. and Me, which then went through 2 more rewrites. Columbia Pictures flat rejected the film. They doubted its commercial potential. Universal Pictures eventually purchased the script for $1 million. Filming took place from September to December of 1981 with the use of a budget of almost $11 million. Unlike most films, the movie was shot in rough chronological order to facilitate convincing emotional performances from this very young cast. It ended up premiering at the Cannes Film Festival on May 26, 1982, and was completely released in the United States in June of that same year. It was an immediate blockbuster. It surpassed Star Wars to become the highest-grossing film of all time. This was a record that it held for 11 years until Spielberg's own Jurassic Park surpassed it in 1993. It's viewed by many critics as being a classic and is also regarded as one of the greatest films of all time. It went on to receive 9 nominations for Academy Awards, winning in Best Original Score, Best Visual Effects, Best Sound, and Best Sound Editing. The ending of the film was one of the most significant musical experiences for composer John Williams. After several attempts had been made to match the score to the film, Steven Spielberg took the film off the screen, and he encouraged Williams to conduct the orchestra the way he would at a concert. He did just that, and Spielberg slightly re-edited the film to match the music, which is really unusual since most normally the music would be edited to match the film. The result of all this is that Williams won the 1982 Academy Award for Best Original Score. At one point in the movie, you hear and see Gertie look down at E.T. and say, "I don't like his feet." This was an ad-libbed statement by Drew Barrymore, who was actually referring to the group of wires that were coming out of the puppet E.T. She also ad-libbed the line, "Give me a break," after Elliot tells her that only kids can see E.T. In the Halloween scene in the film, where E.T. sees a child in a Yoda costume and seems to recognize him, this is an inside joke by the director Spielberg and his real good friend, Star Wars creator George Lucas. In Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace from 1999, Lucas returns this joke in a scene that takes place in the Galactic Senate. In the shot of the various senators calling out, you can see E.T.'s species among the Senate pods in the lower right-hand corner. At one point during the filming, Drew Barrymore was consistently forgetting her lines, and Steven Spielberg got very annoyed with her to the point that he actually yelled at her. He later found out that she had reported to work that day with a very high fever. He felt terribly guilty. He went over and hugged her and apologized to her as she repeatedly cried and cried. When they released the film on video, they did something to try to keep counterfeiting down. They released it so that the cassettes that the tape was in was made of green plastic. This was done strictly to confound the video pirates. The doctors and the nurses who end up working on E.T. are real emergency room technicians from the USC Medical Center. They were told to treat E.T. the same way that they would treat a real patient, so that their dialogue and actions would seem completely real. Director Spielberg felt that the actors wouldn't be able to make the medical dialogue sound natural. The filmmakers originally had requested that M&Ms be used in order to lure E.T., but the Mars Company denied their request. They feared that E.T. was so ugly that it would frighten children. What a mistake that was. Reese's Pieces were used instead. As a direct result, Reese's Pieces sales skyrocketed and just went through the roof. Because of all this happening, more and more companies began requesting that their products be used in movies. Now, this wholesome family film features not one, but two child actors who went on to pose for Playboy. In the scene where Elliot kisses the pretty girl at school during the frog dissection, this took many takes for them to get right because Henry Thomas was extremely nervous doing the shot. The girl that he kisses is Erica Alenica. She goes on to pose for Playboy 4 times and makes it on the cover in August of 1990. She went on to be a big star of Baywatch, but her film debut was this small part in E.T. And then there was Drew Barrymore. She makes her most notorious photo shoot ever when she appeared in Playboy in January of 1995. Drew at that time had kind of fallen from grace in the view of the public because she had to attend rehab for her addiction issues. All this at the tender age of 14. Her escapades in her private life certainly didn't help things either. She shocked everybody on the David Letterman show by flashing David before a live audience. With her inhibitions being down, she felt like Playboy was the next role that she should try to conquer. And she did. This film was a complete masterpiece at the time, and it captured audiences completely. Take a look back at this fascinating film. It's always a fun watch. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.